When I was 15 and a half, I got my learner's permit, like everybody, and I got a nose job. Happy Hanukkah, sweetie. This year, we're giving you a new face. Which was really great, because I had this really huge nose. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wow, she is so lucky to come from a family of such creative gift givers. But really, this was the same thing everyone in my family got. I have 10 relatives. I counted them with my mom. I have 10 relatives who had their noses fixed. We used to get together at family gatherings and try to recognize each other. You know, we were all just trying to look better. You know, it's the Jewish version of bodybuilding. The doctor got mad at us for overusing the Refer a Friend program. Threatened to cut us off. You know, people who know me now think, you know, this is so uncharacteristic of me to have done this, you know, messing with my body like this. Like, I wouldn't dream of getting a tattoo. I just don't think you should write on yourself with permanent marker. Everyone knows that it soaks through. You know, part of my problem with tattoos, I'm just going to digress on tattoos for a minute. I'll come back to my nose, I promise. I know you're excited about that. Part of my problem with tattoos is I could never make a decision about a single image to have on my body for the rest of my life. I switched to Gmail a few weeks ago. I spent 4 days deciding on my email address. You know, now if I were going to get a tattoo, you know, one thing that I think would be useful, this would be the only thing I would think would be useful, would be to get all my passwords and PIN numbers tattooed. Wouldn't that be great? You could get them all off, you know, off the monitor, off your computer monitor. Except it would be kind of hard, you know, to have to read them backwards, you know. That'd be a pain. So I had this huge nose. The doctor told me that I had the biggest nose that he did that year. I didn't even know there was an award category for it. He took so much cartilage out of my nose that he was able to add a 1/4 inch to my chin. I know, yeah, he didn't like my chin. The bill from the doctor was $800, and then he threw in the chin for an extra $50. This was 1974, that's why. Threw in the chin for an extra $50. Now, who could pass that up? You know, so this is not the nose that I was born with, and this is a fake chin, which means that I have no idea what I actually look like. You know, people say, well, do your kids look like you or your husband? And I think, I don't know. They might look like me, might not. So I remember very specifically when I went to the plastic surgeon for the first time, I remember asking him, will anyone notice that I've done this? Now, that is a weird question, really. I mean, isn't that the whole point? You know, why would you spend all that money and effort just to have things be exactly the same? I mean, this isn't couples counseling. You know, you expect that. You know, so here's the thing. You want to look different, but you don't want, you know, people to know exactly what's different. You just want people to say, wow, you look great. Did you lose some weight? Oh, yeah, a couple ounces. Yeah. All right, so here's how he answered the question. He actually did have an answer. He said, well, obviously, people who have studied your nose will notice, but most people won't. And he says this like, you know, well, who would ever study your nose? And I'm thinking, you know, I grew up in this small town in Wisconsin. The entire town has studied my nose. They've never seen anything like it before. It was like a tourist attraction. You know, we were the only Jews in the town, and you know, there wasn't a Nordstrom there or anything. It was really hard. You know, they had never seen a Jewish person before. Oh, there's one of those Jewish people over there. Why wouldn't a nice girl like that eat ham? I don't get it. All right, so I have the surgery. Surgery is quite something. They actually break your nose on purpose. And you come home from the hospital with 2 big black eyes, a face full of bandages, and 4 jars of concealer cream. But here's the fun part. You cannot blow your nose for 3 weeks. You can, I know, it wasn't that bad, really. I wasn't trying to gross you out. Sorry. So anyway, you can't blow your nose for 3 weeks. You can dab, you can sniffle, but you can't blow your nose. So when I went to the doctor's office to get the bandages taken off, there's another guy sitting in the lobby. He's got the same bandages on. And I swear we looked at each other, and at the same moment we went, it was a moment. All right, so I had this done over winter break, and everything's all healed up, and I come back to school, and thinking that, I'll just look unusually good, but nobody will know exactly what's different, except for my friends who knew what was going on. So before I tell you what happened, I have to tell you what used to go on in my high school every morning. This is probably the same thing that happens in every high school every morning. We used to sit in the cafeteria before the bell rang, arranged tables according to the rungs of the social ladder that we were on. Does that sound familiar? Anyone else? Yes? Yeah? Okay. So I was second from the bottom. So now being in the cafeteria was okay, but I was there with my friends and everything. But in order to get to the cafeteria, we had to pass through this hallway that had guys on either side of it sitting on, windowsills there. Now, normally, I just used to sail right through this thing. That's one of the perks of being unattractive in high school. The other one is that you never have to worry about becoming a teen pregnancy statistic. It's just not an issue. So on this particular morning, I'm there with my new nose, and I'm almost to the end of the hall, and Phil Tarantino. Now I gotta tell you who Phil Tarantino was. Phil Tarantino was kind of the loudmouth king of the class. Every class has one of these. So Phil Tarantino yells out, "Hey, Seaman!" My maiden name was Seaman. That was one of the fun parts of my childhood. He yells out, "Hey, Seaman! Love your nose job!" Yeah, so I'm thinking, wow, part of me is thinking, this is so embarrassing. And the other part of me is thinking, wow, Phil Tarantino spoke to me. And Phil Tarantino studied my nose, and he never studied anything. Now, in retrospect, I have a lot of thoughts about this that I didn't have back then. One of the things is that, when you improve yourself, you mess things up for the bullies, You kind of mess with their heads. What are they going to say? "Hey, you, with the big, average, normal nose. Yeah, you." Or, "Hey, fatso, you lost weight. You look better now." Just doesn't have the same bullying ring to it. The other thing I was thinking is, what was I thinking? Thinking that I could walk past Phil Tarantino and his buddies with a new nose without their noticing. That's like thinking I could walk past my dogs with a leash and a bunch of treats and think that they're not going to wake up. They can smell stuff like that. I am sure that I deflected attention from at least 12 computer nerds that day. I know. My husband is so sweet about this. He says, "You should have kept your nose, and worn it proudly. It was part of your heritage." I said, "Honey, listen, my heritage, my Jewish identity is just fine, I eat Chinese food every Christmas. I am in good shape, and I really like my new nose." And then he says, "Well, it was a natural part of you. You should have kept it." I said, "Sweetie, listen, if you want natural, that's so sweet, but if you want natural, I'll just stop shaving my pits again, okay? That's how much I love you. Thank you so much."